Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining our webinar today. My name is Dominic and I'm with ETHOSystems. We've put this together with Jeff and GCPay, and he's going to give us a sneak peek at the GCPay integration with Sage Intacct and how they can work together. If you have any questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to hand it over to Jeff.
Awesome. Thanks, Dominic. Appreciate it. And good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're at. Appreciate you joining me today. As Dominic mentioned, my name is Jeff. I work here at GCPay. I'm on our Sage channel team, which means we work directly and specifically with our Sage partners and businesses that use the Sage products. So today I'm going to give you a approximately 30-minute overview of our GCPay platform, specifically how it integrates with Sage. But really what I'm going to focus on today is the owner billing portion of this. I'll just mention that I'll give you a high-level overview of how we handle the subcontractor invoicing portion as a way to show you how that flows into the owner billing module. Provides a lot of benefit, especially for our Intacct customers, because as of today, Intacct does not have an owner billing module built in. So our customers really like the ability to use GCPay to create those owner bills versus using an Excel spreadsheet template. So let's jump in here. As Dominic mentioned, you can throw questions in the chat section. The audio will be muted so that you guys can all hear me well. I would encourage you to maximize your screen just so you can see everything that we're doing here. But just know that Dominic is also recording this and we'll send it out if you wanted to review it. So simplify the application for payment process. That's our tagline. And we focus a lot on simplifying that application for payment process for your subcontractors. But as I mentioned, today the focus is really going to show you guys the benefits of also using our owner billing functionality. I think what might be helpful for anybody that's not familiar with GCPay is to start off by giving you a little bit of a background. So GCPay was founded back in 2003. Our founders were actually construction accountants by trade, so they understood the challenges that you guys are facing today. It's a very time-consuming, tedious process. It's prone to error, and it's very repetitive. You're doing the same exact things month over month. And so they started GCPay, and we've been growing tremendously ever since then. To date, we're serving over 40,000 companies who manage projects in all 50 states plus Canada. One of the very first things we did was build integrations with major ERP systems like Sage. That integration is what allows us to pull information like subcontracts, commitments, approved change orders, and push information back into Sage so that you're not having to re-hand key all of that invoice information. Now, I will mention that GCPay is currently integrated with Sage 300 CRE, Sage 100 Contractor, and of course, what we're going to be focusing on today, Sage Intacct for construction. So what are some of the main reasons that companies choose to use GCPay? Well, I'm guessing most of these challenges you guys are facing today. Subcontractor billing errors. Think about the time you spend going through and making sure that the math is correct, that you didn't get overbilled on any individual line item or contract. Going back and forth with project managers and subs for billings on potentially unapproved change orders. Missing lien waivers, but also generating those lien waivers. Are you guys hand generating those lien waivers for your subs today? Are you providing them a template and hoping that they do it correctly? GCPay can automate the sending and retrieval of those lien waivers. Now, again, a lot of this stuff I'm going to talk about and I'm going to show you at a very high level, but I would encourage you, if you're interested to see this in action, schedule a demo, reach out, schedule a demo with our team, and we'll show you guys exactly how GCPay automates this for you. Outdated subcontractor insurance and other compliance items. So something else you may not or may know already is that Intacct for construction today does not have a compliance piece. So We do integrate with Sage 300's compliant piece, and we can enforce that compliance. But for our Sage Intacct customers, they use GCPay's native compliance tracking functionality. We do also have an electronic payment functionality built into GCPay now. So if your team is still printing and distributing paper checks and you've ever considered using electronic payment, I'll give you a little flavor of how we can help with that as well. But just know that that's an optional feature within GCPay. We have customers that use it, we have customers that don't. And then, as I mentioned before, hand keying all that invoice information back into Sage Intacct. So one of the things I would encourage you guys to do if you find this webinar interesting is go do your due diligence. You're going to get a lot of great information from me, but if you take a look at review sites out there like G2, Capterra, these are your peers in the industry providing their feedback on our software and others. But what you're going to find is that time and time again, we get very high user ratings, not just on the ease of use. We do try to make it very user friendly, not just on the ease of setup, so making the onboarding process very simple for you and your subcontractors, but really we focus a lot on the quality of our support. And that is the support for your team and for your subcontractors. You'll hear me talk a lot about your subcontractors because we understand that they're a very important part of this relationship. And if they're not happy, you guys aren't going to be happy. If you guys aren't happy, you're not using GCPay. And so we go out of our way to make sure that your subcontractors are onboarded, so train them. You guys don't have to do that. We take that on. And then supporting them moving forward. So if you guys are dealing with questions about how to submit a pay app today, you no longer have to worry about that when you start using GCPay, because we have support teams in all time zones, and we take on those questions and help your subcontractors. Here are just a few of the top honors that we received for the fall report from G2. Lots of great awards that we're proud of. And then I mentioned that I'll talk about subs a lot. It's probably the #1 concern we have. We always get asked, will our subs like it? Will they want to use it? And the answer is yes. If you do a full demo with us, you're going to really see the value and the benefit to your subs. They get a lot of value out of this system. It makes them more organized, more efficient. And we put out this subcontractor survey to really prove this point. And you can see here just a few of the results. We received 4.3 out of 5 stars from the subs who took the survey. 83% of those subs said they were very satisfied or satisfied. And 74% have been in business for 10 plus years. That's the telling number to me. If those subs who have been around for this long give us those kind of grades, those kind of remarks, it's safe to say it's a really valuable tool for them. Okay, so let's jump into the demo. And what you're seeing on my screen now is the GCPay user interface. This is what you would see when you log in. Now, a really quick reference point right up here. You can see that today the name of our GC is Sage Intacct for Construction. And we are going to go in as a subcontractor really quickly. The name of that contractor is going to be Jackson Heating. You'll notice that the user interface looks nearly identical. So I do just want to point that out. GCPay is a cloud-based application. It's a browser-based application, so your subs don't have to go download any additional mobile apps in order to use GCPay. It is mobile friendly. So if you're sitting in the office, of course, it's going to look great. But if you have a project manager walking the field using their tablet, or a subcontractor sitting in their truck, submitting a pay app from their phone, it's going to look great on all of those devices as well. So where we're starting here is on this project screen. And this project screen is going to show you all of your projects that you have in GCPay that you can filter alphabetically by project number. There's a great progress bar. So if you're sitting in a meeting and you want to just quickly check the total billed versus remaining balance across your projects, you can do that. And you see a bunch of other relevant information. You can also see a Start a New Project button here. Because of our direct integration with Sage Intacct, when you click on this button, a drop-down menu appears, and then you can pick and choose the projects that you want to pull directly into GCPay. For the purpose of today's demo, I thought I'd make it a little bit more relevant. So the project we're going to do today is the ETHOSystems headquarters. So let's pull that up. Okay, so we're here on the overview screen. There's a lot of project settings that I could go through. We can do this on a full demo if you reach out to us, but just know that you have settings at the company level and at the project level. So things like user settings. you don't have to manually add the same users to every single project that you add into GCPay. If you know you're going to be the final approver on every single pay app, we set that up at the company level. And now anytime you add in a new project, those individuals are going to be added to those projects by default. So we're scrolling down here and you're going to see a couple of different sections. We have our schedule of values, our application for payment section, also our change orders. And so the schedule of values would be created by pulling over those subcontracts from Intech. Now, if you guys already have the detail listed in Sage, we can pull that over as is, line item by line item. If you have it set up with lump sum values, you can then pull that into GCPay, push it to the sub to provide that detail, and then your team would approve those schedule values. So just to kind of set the stage here, in this demo account, I've already added 2 subcontractors. We have Barth Electric and Jackson Heating. They've both submitted their schedule values and I've approved them. Barth Electric has already submitted their first pay app and I've approved that. And so now what I'm going to do is log in as Jackson Heating, show you how a sub would submit a pay app within GCPay, we approve it, and then we're going to start with the owner billing. I'm going to show you how we can take those subcontractor costs, map them directly to an owner's schedule value, and create that owner bill. So let's do that. Let's log out of our GC view. We're going to log in now as Jackson Heating. Oops. Okay, you can see here now, reference point, we are in as Jackson Heating. The subs will also have that projects view that I showed you on the GC side. There's also a dashboard view. Now, GCs have this, but let me show you from a subcontractor's perspective. Again, when we talk about value for the subs, super helpful for them as well. This dashboard view, once it loads up, is going to show the subs all the action items they have across their projects. So very easily, they can track what they need to do. If that means they need to update compliance, come right over here into the compliance section. There's never any guesswork involved. They could click on the expired icon, go right down their project list, and upload that compliance. Right now, we know that something has not yet been submitted. So we can come into the submittal section, click on not submitted, scroll down. And let's see, where is it? Oh, I'm sorry, I've already skipped through the schedule values. I'm so used to doing that. So let's go right to the project and submit our schedule values. We don't have to submit that. And while this is loading, I'll just mention that what's nice about GCPay is you never have to worry about those pay apps coming in on unapproved values. So until that schedule of values is approved, you will not have any pay apps coming in. But once it is approved, a little green button will appear next to the application for payment section, and the sub can go ahead and create their first application for payment. So you can see here, this is application for payment number 1, standard retainage set 10%. We support all different types of retainage, so you can use whatever you guys need, and this can be configured or changed at any point throughout the process. Now, as I mentioned, I've already approved the schedule values, so the description, item number, schedule value, it's all hard-coded. Subs can't change it at this point. It's going to show them all their previous billing amounts, and they can go right down the line and bill for dollar amounts or percent complete. Either way, the system's doing the math for them in real time. So if a sub decides to come in here and for whatever reason, they accidentally fat finger a number and they're off by even 1 penny, GCPay is going to notify them. It's going to put up a rejection sign and will not let them submit this pay app until they make that correction. Okay, so now that we've done this, this looks good. You know what, let's add in another line for stored material just to show you guys how this works. Okay, this pay app information is good. Now the sub wants to submit it. They can't yet do so. They need to provide some additional information. These are things that you can configure in the settings and that your onboarding specialist would help you with, but let's just go right down the list. provide additional information about your contractors. So GCPay is going to track not just subcontractors, but also tiered contractors and vendors. And not only will you get that billing information, GCPay will also send out lien waivers to those tiered vendors and contractors. But if the sub doesn't have any to report this period, they can indicate that. Checklist, completely optional. You don't have to have any acknowledgements. You could have 10. A lot of our customers like this one. We've told you that you need to have your compliance up to date. If anything is outstanding, payment's likely to be delayed. Stored material. Because I build on that stored material line, you can require backup. So we'll go ahead and provide pictures of those parts. Alrighty, and lien waivers. So again, I'm really just scratching the surface on showing you guys how we handle lien waiver management, but just know that during the onboarding process, we take your waivers, conditionals, unconditionals, custom waiver owner might give you, and we help you digitize those. We have over 70 different digital tags. So when a sub goes to submit their pay app, that document is created automatically. Those digital tags populate the document with all of the accurate information. And then we give the sub the ability to digitally sign this. So just like DocuSign, they can go ahead and take care of this right from a mobile device if they want to. You guys didn't spend a ton of time creating this document, and you're certainly not going to spend a bunch of time ensuring that all the information is correct if you guys have your subs create these documents. If you're in a situation where you require those waivers to be notarized, of course, the sub, if they have an in-house notary, could download it, do their thing, upload it. If they don't, maybe it's after hours, notaries across town, they don't want to drive all the way over there. We've also partnered with notarize.com. So they can go ahead and click on this button, brings up a screen sharing session, and they can have that notarized right over the web. For the purpose of the demo, I'll go ahead and upload a copy. All right, last but not least, unconditionals. So you guys know this. Subs are going to be very resistant to sign an unconditional unless they've already been paid, and that makes sense. But we know how this typically works out. You pay the sub today, and now you're chasing that unconditional for hopefully not days or weeks afterwards. And we've solved that with what we call waiver exchange. Ties in with our electronic payment functionality. Here's how it works. The sub is required to sign this unconditional. The first time they do so, a text box appears and says, yes, you are being required to sign this document right now. But know this, a big, huge watermark is going to be placed on that document, and it's going to be held in trust. So the GC can see that you've signed it, but they don't get a free and clear version until you've been paid. And because it ties in with our electronic payment functionality, we can track those funds. When we see the funds have cleared, the sub is happy. They got paid quick, typically 2 to 3 days. You guys are also happy because at that moment, we then release that lock, strip the watermark, and you have that unconditional free and clear without even having to contact the sub, let alone chase it down. But okay, now that we've taken care of everything, we're going to confirm the bank account we want to be paid to is correct, and we're going to submit that pay app. So at this point, the sub can track this. They can see the status of that pay app. They can see it's been submitted. In the real world, whoever's first in the review process on your team would receive a notification to go ahead and review that pay app. So let's log back in. Now we'll go to the dashboard for the GC. We know that something was submitted, so we can click on that icon, and here it is. Jackson Heating, AFP number 1. Here's what's great. We're not going to spend a bunch of time now making sure that that math is correct. We're going to look for general accuracy, like did they bill the right line items? Also, anything that was submitted, those documents are always going to be accessible. So if you ever need to take a look at that stored material or any other documentation that was submitted with that pay app, it'll be in here waiting for you. Okay. So if you have a big, huge schedule of values, you could always tighten this up. Just look at the current billing. Again, we're not doing the math here. We're just making sure they billed the right line items, review it, and approve or reject it. Now, if you reject it, just know that you can't blindly reject this. You do have to provide comments, and that serves 2 purposes. It lets the subs know what they need to correct. It also is going to be added into our audit trail. So if 3 months from now there's a discrepancy, someone wants to know why this pay app was rejected, very quickly you can look back and see who rejected it, when they rejected it, also for what reason. We know it's good to go, so we can approve it. Okay, so let me go back to the actual project overview screen. And I'll show you guys the application for payment section. Now these have both been approved. At this point, you want to get that pay app information back into Sage. You click on the Sage Intacct button up here. You can then pick and choose which pay apps. It could be one, it could be all of them, and then export. That's going to push that information right back into Intacct for you, create the invoice. You guys can continue paying your subs the same way you do today. If you wanted to use GCPay's electronic payment functionality, you would come into the ACH section, payable status, pick and choose which pay apps you want to pay, and go ahead and initiate that funds transfer. But now that we've taken care of the pay apps, let's talk about owner billing. So we have now got 2 pay apps for the month that we have approved. Rather than hand keying this information into an owner bill, we can actually set up the owner as a ghost user in GCPay, upload that schedule values for the owner, and map our subcontractor costs directly to that owner schedule values. So here's how we're going to do that. Let's come up here into our project companies. You can see here, we have us, Sage Intacct for Construction. We have our subcontractor. We're going to add another company, Sideline Developers. Okay, and so now what we want to do is just set the review order. So right now, our subcontractors are being reviewed by our GC. So now we want our GC to be reviewed by our owner. Okay, so now that we've set that up, go back to the overview screen, and you're going to see things have changed just a little bit. All right, so if we scroll down a little bit, and I'll just hide everything, you can see this is the inbox. So this is going to be the items that we've received from our subcontractors. But now we also have this outbox. So these are going to be items sent to Sideline Developers. And we'll start with that schedule of values. So we're going to add that in here. If it was just a really easy schedule of values, just a few line items, you could just add them in here, start typing away. We know it's going to be a lot more detailed than that most of the time. So we also allow you to upload a CSV file or spreadsheet. Now we have a template that just shows you how that information would map in really nicely. Assuming you've done this before, you would have that ready to go, and you could just grab it and upload it. And you can see here it populates all of that line item information, description and values. So we'll go ahead and save that. And now what we want to do is map those items. So as I mentioned before, we're going to map those subcontractor costs right to this owner schedule values. So let's scroll down here to our HVAC line item. And we're going to say, we're going to put all of these Jackson Heating. Well, we'll just do the first few because that's what we build. We're going to map those Jackson Heating line items to the HVAC line, and then Barth Electric will map to our electrical line. Okay. And at this point, you can see how many lines we have mapped to each. We come back up, review it, and fully approve this schedule of values. Okay, so now that we've got that in there, if I just view it real quick, you can see we've self-approved it. We're going to create our first owner bill. Okay, so let's set our period to the entire month. And so here's what's great. If we go down here and look at these line items, today you're probably hand keying all this information in. But what we can do is click on this purple lightning bolt to auto-populate this document. And we can do it by percentage complete or the dollar amount. We're gonna go dollar amount. And now when I scroll down here, you're gonna see those costs from Jackson Heating and Barth Electric were pulled in automatically. At this point, if you need to add markup, you can do that. So we'll just call this one 20,000, call this one 4,000. Let's say that we were self-performing the plumbing. We could put in our own costs. Let's say we bought the projection screens. Okay. So now we've added in those costs after we pulled in the other ones. Yep, this looks good to go. Review it and approve it. And again, because we're self-approving this, the owner doesn't actually need to be in GCPay. Now we can go here, look at that application for payment. And so let's just download the PDF so that we get that 702, 703. And then I'll also show you the contractor cost report. Okay, so here's your 702. You can see going to sideline developers from Sage Intacct Construction. Here's our project. As we scroll down here, here's the 703. All of those costs, the audit trail, and then here's that contractor cost report. So for your own internal purposes, or if for whatever reason an owner did want to see this, you're going to get to see your costs. So I know it's split here, but HVAC, we marked it up to 20,000, but here's Jackson Heating's costs, the 13.5 plus 5 for stored materials, 18.5, and then also the Barth Electric costs. So really helpful reports for you, but you do get that 702, 703 that you could then send right off to the owner. And so that's GCPay at a very high level. Again, I would encourage you to schedule a demo to really see the full subcontractor invoicing side of things. But the owner portion, especially for our Intacct clients, is super helpful, saves a tremendous amount of time. Let me jump back into my slide deck real quick. I want to mention one other thing before we close this out. Let's just say that you go through a demo and you do want to use GCPay. What comes with that? Well, when you get started with GCPay, you would be provided your own dedicated onboarding specialist and account manager. So onboarding, generally speaking, let's call it 4 weeks. Very light lift. There's a handful of training sessions specifically for your admin, your project level staff, those who are going to be in charge of special functions like compliance and lien waivers. We also train your subs. So everybody's going to get the proper training. We have that direct API integration with, of course, Sage Intacct for construction, but also 300 CRE, 100 contractor. As I mentioned before, you're going to have really high level of support. So you're always going to have your own point person, the onboarding specialist, or then after that, the account manager. But you can also just reach out to our general support, so can your subs, and we have a 5-minute time to resolution. And I share that with you just to say, if you reach out to our support, we're not getting back to you later today or tomorrow. We're picking up that phone call, helping you resolve whatever question you have in 5 minutes or less. You can have an unlimited number of users in the system. We provide continuous training at no additional cost. And one of the most common questions we get is, well, does this have to start with new projects? And the short answer is no. We've helped our customers get projects started at varying stages, whether it's 20% complete or 80% complete. If you guys want to have it on GCPay, we'll make it happen for you. So if you're interested in learning more, feel free to reach out to our general sales email, sales@gcpay.com. I would encourage you to take a look at gcpay.com. There's a lot of great information. Our marketing team does a tremendous job putting together short videos, testimonials. But of course, you have your ETHOSystems representative that you can also reach out to, and they'll put you in contact with us as well. So with that, I thank you all for your time. Really appreciate it. I hope this was helpful. And Dominic, I will pass it back over to you.
Thank you very much. This was great. This was an excellent overview of GCPay and how it will work with Sage Intacct Construction. And I do want to just reiterate, if there is anything that you have questions on, it looks like we didn't have anything come through, but if there's anything that you need, feel free to reach out to GCPay directly, or you can reach out to us at ETHOSystems, and we'll make sure that we put you in touch with the proper contacts over there. But Jeff, thank you again, and everyone, thank you very much for joining us today, and look forward to speaking with you soon. Have a great day.
See you guys.